Coming up now, Lee, have you got that?
Yeah. Right.
So where are we, Lee? What's going on out here?
Well, this is very friendly. Well, yeah, indeed. I mean, friendliness or kind of politeness is very important. This is a very friendly kind of engagement of two Shuaijiao practitioners or Chinese wrestlers, I believe, in a park. So because after judo became, well, a world Olympic sport, Shuaijiao was a national kind of an item in the national games in China for a while, and then because China wanted to win a medal in Olympics, so a lot of the Chinese wrestlers became judo players. So Shuaijiao was kind of kicked out of the system. Let's say Shuaijiao was no longer kind of a professional sport anymore, meaning that there wasn't kind of a nation-sponsored training centers for the sport, for Shuaijiao athletes. So it went back to its to where it came from, the streets, really, because well, obviously originally Shuaijiao was the technique, the technique of imperial guards, a particular very high-ranking guards in the Qing dynasty, who were responsible for safeguarding the emperor. So in those days, wrestlers were kind of royal guards, and they were paid by the royal court. And
oh, Lee, look at that! Look at that ippon that just happened there.
Boom. There's a slight delay on my side. But then, well, afterwards, after after the modernization of China, I would say, the wrestling art has been lost to a great extent, and only practiced, by people who love it. In this form, in the park, and yeah, well, we can. There are a lot more, I would say, and there's usually the big difference is that there's the referee, usually talks in the judo competition. The referee never talks on, apart from giving Shido's penalties, but.
He chats to the crowd, yeah, Lee. He's kind of like
Indeed.
partly a referee and partly a sort of commentator, entertainer figure.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, this is really to let the audience know about the sports, and make them laugh in a way, and keep a good kind of morale, kind of thing. And it's a very social sport as well. You have to. Is not as kind of absolute, kind of once you get thrown you are dead, as if in a judo competition.
Yeah.
But here you can go down and you get up, and you threw me, I threw you, you threw me again, and I threw you again. Which is called peaceful wrestling,
Yeah, so they get, because that's what I've noticed with both of these two so far, and this one's quite interesting. You got this young guy versus an old guy. They kind of like exchange, like what they go one for one, yeah. So like one person, it's like you're trying. One person takes turn being the aggressor almost, and one person's the the defending. And I guess it's a bit like, nearly going to go into the crowd. I guess it's a bit like. You were talking about Randori going 60% or something like that. There's a rhythm to it.
Yeah, I mean, especially with when practice happens in public, and is I think it's has a educational purpose, and you have to to make the audience actually see the techniques, and also this is an educational or entertaining function for the audience, and also for the players or the wrestlers, so they can practice.
And you have a term that you use in your thesis about like the people's realm, or about civil society, and we also talk a lot about the low end when we're in China, and this feels like part of that, part of the civil society, or the people. What's the Chinese term for that people's realm?
Well, Minjian. So that's this is really a very Minjian kind of activity, very Minjian sport, and here is I would say it's very civilized in terms of people being very civil, and it's really the technique that's the element of violence or actual kind of combat has been nobody ever goes full on in public like this, and well, this is good technique. And the system is not as kind of the system of Shuaijiao knowledge is not as rigid as those of judo, that has been categorized and listed. There's a very general kind of generic kind of number of techniques. Basically there are many techniques, and oh well.
So shall we move now from the civilized to the non-civilized, to human cockfighting and BJJ?